Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, licensed firearm holder under probe after losing weapon. A licensed firearm holder is under investigation following the loss of his weapon in Rockford, Kingston 2 on Sunday. The firearm owner, a businessman from Kingston 20, reported he could not find his gun, a black Glock 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 17 live rounds, after assisting with work being undertaken on a vehicle. The incident reportedly occurred between 9:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Ocean View Avenue in Rockford. Reports reaching the news indicated that the licensed firearm holder visited a residence in the area to check on his trailer truck head, which was there for repairs. Police said he assisted the workman with the job by lying on his back to spray the chassis. The firearm was inside a plastic holster clipped to the front of his jogger's pants. He had to get up and move to different points during the work, and when he was finished, he went to the front of the premises where he stooped down to talk to the owner who had just arrived. At that time, he reportedly did not feel his firearm resting against his leg. He immediately made a thorough search of the premises, but the weapon was not found, the police said. Man charged with a killing cop during gas station robbery. A man has been charged in connection with the killing of a policeman during a gas station robbery in December last year. The accused, 32-year-old Allen, otherwise called Nelly, a taxi driver from Westmore Gardens in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, was charged Monday following intensive investigations by the St. Andrew Central Police. Allen is charged with murder, conspiracy to murder, 6 counts of robbery with aggravation, unlawful possession of a firearm, and unauthorized possession of ammunition. He is charged with the killing of 47-year-old Corporal Christopher Smith, who worked at the Trenchtown Police Station. Reports were that around 10:52 p.m. on Friday, December 6, 2024, 4 men went to the service station on Beechwood Avenue and robbed several persons at the mart. The policeman, who was unaware of the robbery in progress, drove up to purchase gas and was accosted by the gunmen. During a minor altercation, he was shot and killed, and the men fled. Allen was subsequently held with a white 2015 Toyota Wish motor car used in the robbery and the killing. Following further investigations and a question and answer session, Allen was charged. He is to appear in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court shortly, police said. Bull Bay woman charged with love triangle murder. A 55-year-old woman has been charged following last weekend's fatal stabbing of her lover's 56-year-old common-law wife on Mountain View Avenue in Kingston 3. Charged with murder and being armed with an offensive weapon is Sharon Young, otherwise called Rochi, a fish vendor from Beach Road in 9 miles of Bull Bay, St. Andrew. Young is charged in connection with the killing of Nisi Green Edwards from Marthabury Road in Long Bay, Portland. Information reaching the news is that the now deceased was at the home of her common-law husband, who is also in a relationship with the accused. Reports indicated that Green Edwards had been at the house for the past 3 weeks, and Young, who used to be the person spending time there, was unable to visit. Police reported that around 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, Young entered the yard, went inside the house, and pulled the now deceased outside. Green Edwards was stabbed twice in the neck, the police said. She managed to run from the yard to some distance away and eventually collapsed in front of a shop. Residents transported her to the Kingston Public Hospital, where she died while undergoing treatment. Police retrieved an ice pick and a wooden brown-handled knife from the scene. Young was taken into custody and charged following police investigations into the killing. No court date was given for the accused. Man shot and motorcycle stolen in Papine. The St. Andrew Central Police are investigating the shooting and robbery of a motorcyclist in Papine on Monday night. Reports are that around 10:30 p.m., a 24-year-old man from Greater Portmore, St. Catherine, was riding his motorcycle in the area when he was attacked by unknown assailants who robbed him of the bike and shot him during the incident. He was assisted to the Kingston Public Hospital where he was admitted. No prison time for 2 of 3 cops convicted in Deane case. 2 of the 3 cops convicted in the Deane case will not go to prison as their sentences have been suspended. Sentencing was handed down in the Westmoreland Circuit Court by High Court Justice Courtney Day on Tuesday. Both constables Juliana Cleavon and Marlon Grant were each sentenced to 3 years for manslaughter and 1 year for misconduct in a public office. However, the manslaughter sentence was suspended for 3 years, while the misconduct sentence was suspended for 2 years. This means that they will not serve any time behind the bars. However, Corporal Eileen Stewart was sentenced to 5 years for manslaughter, 1 year for misconduct in a public office, and 1 year for perverting the course of justice. Her sentences are to run at the same time, meaning she will serve 5 years. However, Stewart was released on bail pending an appeal. The charges stemmed from 31-year-old Deane's death on August 6, 2014, 3 days after he was beaten while in custody at the Barnett Street Police Station lockup in St. James for possession of a ganja spliff. The 3 cops were charged on the grounds that they were on duty at the lockup when Deane was beaten. Additionally, Stewart was accused of ordering the cleaning of the cell where Deane was beaten ahead of the arrival of personnel from the Independent Commission of Investigations. All 3 were found guilty in May. Reacting, Deane's mother, Mercia Fraser, expressed dissatisfaction with the sentencing. "I'm just disappointed because of the kind of beating Maria gets and the stand inside the station and everything. I was expecting more," said Fraser. "It shows me that, in spite of all these years, it seems like his life really means nothing. To me, that is how I look at it. I am disappointed," she added. Panel removed FID job requirement after conversations. No documentation exists, says Maurice Dixon. The government has stated for the first time that there is no documentation explaining why the law enforcement requirement was dropped from the job criteria for the top post at the Financial Investigations Division. Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon revealed Tuesday that the change resulted from conversations within the interview panel. The Attorney General's chambers, responding to a Gleaner Access to Information request on June 27, disclosed only 3 documents and stated that other official documents that were identified as relating to the request are exempt and will therefore not be disclosed. Solicitor General Marlene Aldred did not make any claim that any documents were non-existent. Instead, she said they were exempt under Sections 17BI and 22 of the ATI law. Those sections related to breaches of confidence and unreasonable disclosure of personal information, respectively. However, at Tuesday's news conference, Maurice Dixon said the decision to drop the requirement was made through discussions raising questions about the authority of panels to change the Government of Jamaica job requirements. There are also questions about why the Office of the Services Commission, to whom the ATI request was sent, did not disclose the reason she gave earlier. The OSC led the recruitment process. So what I have said today is conversations that would have taken place as part of the interview process. That's not a document, so that cannot be provided under an ATI request. Her comment is the first public suggestion from any senior government official that no formal record was created to support the decision to remove the requirement for law enforcement experience. There is nothing to hide in relation to that selection process, Maurice Dixon declared, amid mounting questions and the pressure from major business and the civil society groups. She disclosed that after retired Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey declined the offer to head the FID on January 21, the panel that had been doing the interviews decided to re-advertise the post to broaden the pool of individuals. And sometimes they may change the ad trying to get a broader pool of persons to be interested, and that is actually what happened there. And so the ad was changed to get more people, she said. The panel's decision resulted in the removal of the minimum requirement for candidates to have 12 years of law enforcement experience, including 5 at a senior level. Now that didn't seem controversial to the team because the criterion in relation to law enforcement experience was not one that was there from the very beginning, and if you look at those who have headed the FID, they have not had law enforcement experience except for one, Maurice Dixon said. She noted that the longest-serving head did not have specific law enforcement experience, arguing that the panel believed removing the criterion would allow for more applicants. That move cleared the path for the appointment of Chartered Accountant Dennis Chung on June 2 under a 2-year contract. He was one of 4 shortlisted in the second round, with the top score of 87.6%, Maurice Dixon confirmed. The FID, a key financial crimes agency, is central to Jamaica's anti-corruption and anti-money laundering enforcement. The law enforcement requirement was included in the November 2024 advertisement, but was not included in the advertisement of January 23, 2025, 2 days after Bailey declined the offer. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, the MSME Alliance, and the National Integrity Action have all called for full disclosure following the denial of the ATI request. Maurice Dixon did not say whether the Ministry of Finance, under which the FID falls, approved or even knew of the change, nor did she identify who ultimately authorized the final decision. Despite the government's insistence that there is nothing being hidden, it remains unclear how an interview panel, normally tasked with assessment and recommendation, had the authority to alter a minimum requirement without a documented approval. While the process for changing job requirements remains unclear, it emerged in a recent case that the National Land Agency had to seek permission from the Ministry of Finance before removing a mandatory requirement for a senior post. In an ATI response in May 2024, the NLA disclosed a letter it sent to the ministry, noting that it was on the basis of a no objection from the ministry that it had advertised the position without the requirement listed as mandatory. Among other things, the NLA argued in a 2022 request that while certification with the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors was a mandatory requirement and had the benefits, it limits a prospective qualified candidates. The ministry ultimately blocked the attempt after an audit by its corporate management and establishment branch. The Finance Ministry had previously indicated that, despite giving the no objection, the NLA needed to provide other documentation before formal authorization. Maurice Dixon said on Tuesday that a formal statement will be released by the Ministry of Finance to provide further details on the FID matter, but none had been made up to the time of this publication. Chung's appointment has drawn a backlash from civil society groups and the opposition People's National Party. They charge that Chung is conflicted because of public comments he made, raising doubts about an Integrity Commission report on its investigation into the Prime Minister's finances. That report was referred to the FID last September. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.